This is Retro Sports Radio. Visit RetroSeasons.com for more sports history.
The California Angels faced the Kansas City Royals at Royals Stadium for a Thursday night game on September 20th, 1979. The two teams were atop the AL West in a tight race for the pennant with only 10 games remaining. California was on top with a 2-game lead under manager Jim Fregosi in his second full season as skipper. Kansas City was managed by Whitey Herzog, who had led the Royals to 3 straight ALCS appearances. This audio recording is from the Kansas City radio broadcast, featuring announcers Denny Matthews and Fred Wieden.
Making his 9th start, trying to win his 5th game, he's 4-2 with an ERA of 3.05. Rick Miller, left-handed batter, hitting .284. The first pitch of the night is lifted to center field. Well hit, but back goes Otis with plenty of room. 1 pitch, 1 out. That will bring up the Angels' third baseman, Carney Lansford. Lansford, a .294 hitter. He has 17 home runs, 72 RBIs. But in this series, Lansford just 1 out of 11. Right-hand hitter, good runner. Has power. Chamberlain's pitch is high. 1 ball and no strike. Craig, you'll recall, won his first 3 starts, all complete games, but has won just 1 of his last 5 starts with 2 losses and a pair of no decisions. A swing and a miss by Carney Lansford, and the count 1-1. Well, Craig Chamberlain, his last start came on Sunday against Seattle. He did not figure in the decision. The Royals winning 5-4. He went 5 2/3, allowed 6 hits and 4 runs. The 1-1 pitch misses the outside corner at the knees. 2-1. Foul ball back to the screen off the bat of Carney Lansford. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I said Craig pitched Sunday. He pitched Saturday night. That was the 11-inning contest won by the Royals. His last win was at Seattle on September the 7th. Final score 6-2. Lansford, a swing and a miss. Down he goes. So Miller flies to center. Lansford strikes out. And now Ralph Starr gets his first at bat in a California uniform. Ralph with the White Sox hitting .280. 9 homers, 39 RBIs, 86 base hits. He is the Angels' designated hitter tonight. Base is empty, 2 down. Chamberlain's pitch is popped up on the infield. UL Washington under the ball. And UL makes the catch. That retires the side. The Angels go down 1-2-3 after half an inning. California nothing. Royals coming up. Bottom of the first inning, the Angels came up empty in the top half of the first. 31-year-old right-hander Jim Barr on the mound for California. Barr is 9-12 this year with an ERA of 4.17. His last victory on September the 8th, 3-2 over the Brewers. His last outing was a rematch against Milwaukee at County Stadium on the 14th. He went 6 innings, was not involved in the decision. The Angels won 8-7, and Jim allowed 3 runs. He's making his second start against the Royals. He lost at the Big A 13-4 to the Royals and Larry Gura on June the 23rd. Jim allowed 7 hits and 4 runs in 4 2/3 innings. Walked 3 and struck out 2. He's a former National Leaguer, pitched for the San Francisco Giants. And he played at the University of Southern California for Rod Dedeaux. Willie Wilson leading off. Willie hitting .314 with a half a dozen homers and 46 RBIs. Wilson in this series, 5 out of 16. He has scored 3 runs, stolen 1 base. On the left side against right-hander Jim Barr. Sign given by Downing. Barr's first pitch is a strike, 0-1. Willie leads the major league in stolen bases. He has 74. He's 3 in front of Ron LaFleur of the Tigers. Breaking ball, chopped out toward the second baseman Gritch. Flips over to Rod Carew in time, 1 away. Hal McRae. Max average 286. 9 home runs, 67 runs batted in. Hal McRae having a fine series. Mac is 6 for 12. He has driven in 1 run, but he has scored 7 times. The Angels have not played well at all defensively. Hal takes a strike, a breaking ball that got the outside edge. The Angels on their current road trip have won 2, they've lost 6. And they have committed 10 errors in those 8 games. The opposition with 12 unearned runs. There's a strike. So Hal McRae in the hole, 0-2. Barr at the All-Star break was 7 and 4. Since the All-Star break, 2 and 8. The 0-2 pitch to Mack is hit foul into the seats down the right field line. So Jim Barr keeping everything away from Harold. George Brett will be next. Hal deep in the batter's box, a long way away from the plate, and he takes inside. Boy, he was looking away, and he was leaning over the plate, and Barr came up and in, and Hal almost walked into that pitch. Not that it was that close to Hal McRae. It was close, but he was leaning, and that made the difference. Another fastball in too tight, 2 balls and 2 strikes. No score, bottom of the first inning. The Angels go home to play Texas. The Royals leave home to play the Oakland A's. The 2-2 pitch. Struck him out. He finally came back on the outside corner with a slider. And after the 2 fastballs inside, the slider away got him. Batting third. 2 away, here's George Brett. George has upped his average to 333. 21 home runs, 103 RBIs. And he's having some series. He is 7 for 12 against the Angels in the 3 games. 3 RBIs and 5 runs scored. Jim Barr's pitch is a slider outside. 1 ball and no strikes. George continues to lead the league in hits, runs, and triples. His overall average against the Angels this year, 350. Outside to George, 2 balls and no strikes. Barr trying to retire the Royals 1-2-3. The 2-0 pitch. Took something off a breaking ball and got it over. In 25 innings in this series, Angel pitching have retired the Royals in order twice. That's all. George is swing and a miss. And the count evens out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Royals went in order Monday night in the 4th inning. In the 6th inning last night against Nolan Ryan. But in every other inning in this series, they've had at least 1 base runner. The pitch to George is outside, and the count goes full 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, bases empty, 2 out. Darrell Porter waiting to hit next. Sign given by Brian Downing. The line by Barr in the pitch. He struck him out. He kept the ball away from him. And the Royals do go down 1-2-3. Barr gets 2 strikeouts. After 1 inning at Royal Stadium, no score. We go to the 2nd inning, no score. Don Baylor, Rod Carew, and Brian Downing coming up against Craig Chamberlain. The Angels went in order in the 1st, so did the Royals. Final score in the 1st of 2 at Shea Stadium. The Montreal Expos scored 4 runs in the 8th inning and beat the Mets 6-3. Murray, the winner, 5-9. Reardon, the loser, 1-2. The Pirates lost to the Phillies, so Montreal and Pittsburgh in a tie for 1st now. And if the Expos win their 2nd game, they lead. Long drive, deep left field. Back goes Willie. She's gone. A home run for Don Baylor. His 35th home run on Craig Chamberlain's first pitch in the 2nd inning. Don Baylor hit a line drive over the wall in left field. Baylor had been very quiet in this series. He was just 2 for 11. that he muscled up and got it over the wall and left, and the Angels lead 1-0. The 7th home run off Craig Chamberlain this year. Here's Rod Carew, and Carew, like Baylor, has been conspicuous by his absence. Rod Carew just 2 out of 12. Craig Chamberlain goes to work on Rod, and it's low and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. That gives Baylor 179 hits and 136 RBIs. Fly ball center field. Amos Otis positioned perfectly. Hardly has to move, and he makes the catch. Here's Brian Downing, the catcher. Brian hitting .328 with 11 homers, 69 RBIs. Downing in the series has gone 3 for 11. One of the 3 hits, a home run. Outside to the right-handed batter, 1 ball and no strikes. Bases empty, 1 out, 1 run in. Chamberlain's pitch to Downing is a strike. Toronto leading Boston 4-0 after 5 innings in Toronto. Tony Solita homered, former Royal. Tom Bergmeyer, a former Royal, now pitching for the Red Sox. Breaking ball from Chamberlain is fouled away by Brian Downing. Lower deck on the first base side, 1 and 2 on the Angel catcher. Lee May homered for Baltimore, his 19th in the 2nd inning with the man on. Detroit 3, Baltimore 2. The 1-2 pitch to Downing is fouled back to the screen, and Downing really went after that pitch. He seldom gets cheated. He swings as hard as anybody in the league. Swings awfully hard. Yastrzemski used to. Just missed the outside corner to Chamberlain. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Brian Downing. Bob Gritch to follow. Don Baylor hit Chamberlain's first pitch of the inning over the wall and left. The 2-2 pitch. Foul ball back to the screen. Craig challenged him with a fastball up around the letters, and Downing's answer was a hard swing and a foul ball. The Angels are hitting .253 against the Royals as a team, and now have 14 home runs. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Line into left field. Willie on the move toward the foul line. He makes the catch. That's 2 out. Here's Bobby Gritch, the second baseman. Gritch in at .295 with 27 home runs, 93 RBIs. Royals trailing by 2 games with 10 to play. Craig Chamberlain's pitch to Gritch. Didn't want to go around, but he did. No balls and a strike. In the season series, the Royals have won 5 and have lost 4. But the Angels have won 4 out of 6 here at Royal Stadium. Chamberlain just missed the outside corner, 1 and 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Bob Gritch, a .295 hitter. He swings and fouls tips in the count 1 and 2. Gritch has 27 home runs, 93 RBIs. Tomorrow night in Oakland, Paul Splittorff against Rick Lineford. Saturday afternoon, Dennis Leonard against Matt Keogh. Larry Gura hooks up against Mike Morgan on Sunday afternoon. Low and away to Gritch. Then it's into Anaheim for games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights. And back home to close out the regular schedule against the A's, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Gritch swings and misses, striking out, and that's the inning. 1 run on 1 hit, the home run by Don Baylor. We go to the bottom of the second. The Angels 1, the Royals nothing. California 1, Royals nothing as we move to the bottom of the second. Darrell Porter leads off against Jim Barr. Darryl hitting .291. He has 108 RBIs and 20 home runs. And what a series he is having. Darryl Porter has gone 6 for 12, has scored 3 runs, and in the 3 games has 10 RBIs. So he's averaged a little better than 3 runs per game. Jim Barr retires the Royals in order in the first. The right-hander goes to work on Darryl and finds the outside corner with a slider. Darryl says no, the pitch is outside. Nick Brannigan calling the balls and strikes. The 0-1 pitch on the corner, outside, 0-2. Darryl still leading the league in walks. He's drawn 107. The 0-2 pitch missed the outside edge of the kneecap. We mentioned Darryl's last 3 games. Over his last 5, he's gone 8 for 19. That figures out to a .421 average. And has driven into 11. Down ball, base hit to center. Darryl Porter grounds a single into center. The Royals have their first base runner. So he's 7 out of 13 in the series, and here's Pete Lecoq. He is hitting .284, 3 home runs, 53 RBIs. Pete's 5 out of 13 in the 3 games with 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. The tying run at first with nobody out here in the bottom of the second. The left-handed batter at the plate. Barr's pitch is outside, 1 ball, no strike. Richie Dower homered for Baltimore in the second inning with nobody on. His 9th. It's Baltimore 5, Detroit 3 in the second inning in Detroit. 1 ball, no strikes on Lecoq. The crowd's starting to come alive. There goes the runner. Hit and run. It's swing and a miss. Throw to second, and Darryl is going to be out. Bobby Gritch took the throw, so on a hit and run play, Pete Lecoq swung and missed. And Downing threw out Darryl Porter at second base. And that's the first Royal to be thrown out by Brian Downing in this series. The Royals have 9 stolen bases. That's not a bad percentage. If you can steal 9 out of every 10 times, why, you've got one heck of a running game. Pitch to Pete is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jim Barr's pattern to the left-handed hitter is pretty obvious. He's keeping everything away. As he did that pitch too far away, ball 3. 3-1. At second game at Shea Stadium, Scott Sanderson will pitch for Montreal. He's 8-7. Scott makes the start for the Mets. He's 1-1. If Montreal wins it, they move past the Pirates into first place in the National League East. The 3-1 pitch to Pete. Strike. And Pete is unhappy. Boy, Jim Barr is just nicking that outside edge and keeping everything down, at least to this point. Amos Otis will be next. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Lecoq. Here's the pitch. Bouncing ball, shortstop. Up with the ball, Anderson on to first in time. Jimmy had to dart to his right, go into the hole for Pete Lecoq's ground ball. 2 Royals gone, and here is Amos Otis. Amos' batting average is .295. He has 18 home runs, 89 RBIs. How has Amos done in the series? Well, he's 4 out of 14. 4 runs scored and 1 run batted in. Signal given. Here's the line by Jim Barr in the pitch. Foul ball into the upper deck down the right field line. 0-1. Toronto leading Boston 6-0 now as Rick Cerrone is homered, his 7th. They are in the 6th. No balls and 1 strike on Amos Otis. Barr deals, off-speed breaking ball, grounded to short. Anderson up with the ball. Over to Rod Carew in time, side retired. 1 hit, no runs. The Royals leave none in the inning. And the score at the end of 2, the California Angels 1, the Royals nothing. The Angels lead 1-0 after 2 innings. Before we go to the third, let's pause for station identification. This is the Kansas City Royals Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Matthews, along with Fred Wieden, producer-engineer Ed Shepard at Royal Stadium. Fourth and final game of the series. The Angels leading by the score of 1-0. Don Baylor's home run is what separates the two teams after two. So to the third we go, and here's Fred.
All right, thank you, Denny. Larry Harlow leads it off. To be followed by Jim Anderson, the number 9 hitter, then Rick Miller, the center fielder. Craig Chamberlain winds the first pitch to Harlow. Left-handed batter swings and misses. One strike to count. Harlow hitting .205. No homers, a dozen runs batted in. The Angels missing regular right fielder Dan Ford, who's out with a bruised side tonight. Ball outside, 1-1. Earlier in the series, Willie Aiken suffered a damaged knee, was sent home, and today the Angels acquired Ralph Garr, who's operating as their designated hitter tonight. 1-1 pitch to Harlow. Swing and a miss. He threw the fastball behind him. 1-2 the count. Each team has a hit. The Angels lead 1-0. They're hit on Baylor's 35th home run. Well, the Royals have had some offense in this series. 1-2 pitch. Ball outside, 2-2. In the 3 games played to date, the Royals have scored 26 runs on 42 hits. The Angels 14 runs with 22 hits. But through the first 2 innings tonight, Jim Barr has looked like $1 million pitcher. The Royals have been ineffective. There's a line drive in the left center field. That's going to plug the gap. Willie Wilson trying to cut it off, but it's all the way to the wall. And Harlow at second base. Round second. He's going to try for 3. Here he comes. The throw, not in time. Larry Harlow triples into left center field, and the Angels have their leadoff man at third. And a chance to get something more done against Craig Chamberlain. And the way Jim Barr is pitching, every run looks big right now. Jim Anderson, the shortstop, the number 9 hitter. And Craig Chamberlain now in need of a strikeout or a pop-up. Royals play the infield back. Anderson hitting .254. 3 home runs. He had 1 last night. 19 RBIs. Craig Chamberlain at the belt, the pitch. Ball outside, ball 1. Anderson against the Royals, 7 for 22 this year. Right-hander against right-hander. Angels lead 1-0. They threaten again. Here's the stretch and the pitch. Way outside, ball 2, 2-0. Pitch again. Fly ball, left center field. Amos Otis running towards the gap is there. Reaches up and makes the catch. It'll score the run. Down the line to score comes Anderson. Or rather Harlow, as Anderson hits the ball hard in the deep left center field. A sacrifice fly, and he drives in his 20th run of the year. The Angels hitting the ball fairly hard against Craig Chamberlain. So the early indications in this ball game don't look all that good. 2-0 California. Now 1 out, nobody on. Rick Miller, the hitter. He was out on a fly ball to center his first time up. In the stadium, check the Royal outfield. They play him way around the opposite way. Ball misses, ball 1. Bottom of the second, Baltimore. After trailing 3-0, scored 5 in the top of the second. They now lead Detroit 5-3. After 6, Toronto 6, Boston 0. Minnesota beat New York 3-1 today. High 2-0. The Phillies beat the Pirates, and Montreal won the first game of their doubleheader from the Mets. Boy, the Expos staying right with the Pirates. 2-0 pitch. Strike call, 2-1. Montreal won at the moment, dead even with the Pirates. Pitch again. Fouled on a play down the left field line, now 2-2. Montreal has played 2 less games than Pittsburgh. They'll make one of those up in the doubleheader tonight. where they have played a ton of doubleheaders. They had 6 games to make up, starting just about 10 days ago. Chamberlain ready to deal, but Miller backs out of the batter's box. The Angels have 2 hits, but one of them the home run by Baylor, the other a triple by Harlow. They have the 2-0 lead. 2-2 pitch. Hit him on the 5th. He fouls it back out of play. Still 2-2. Rick Miller hitting at 284. Right on the back line of the batter's box. Chamberlain's 2-2 pitch. Missed the outside corner. Full count, 3-2. Craig Chamberlain hasn't walked anybody, but he has not had the control that he normally has. He's been behind some hitters. He's obviously missed the spot a couple of times with Baylor and Harlow. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Fastball fouled out of play. Still 3-2. We'll salute the Cook paint dealers. Picks up the sign from Porter. Here comes the 3-2 pitch to Rick Miller. Strike 3 call. They got him looking. Strikeout number 3 for Craig Chamberlain. And here's Carney Lansford, who was a strikeout victim his first time up. Chamberlain changing speeds a bit that time. Got Rick Miller looking on a 3-2 pitch. Now 2 out, nobody on, and he'll deal with Lansford, a 293 hitter. Right-handed batter, aggressive hitter. Good hitter. 17 homers. He's driven in 72. Bouncing ball to Brett. George charging. Lansford can run, but the throw's on time, and the inning is over. Lansford out third to first. The Angels get a run on a hit. They cash the leadoff triple. We go to the bottom of the third. California 2, the Royals nothing. Bottom of the third, 2-0 California. Al Cowan, Frank White, UL Washington, the lower part of the order for the Royals. The Royals have but 1 hit, a single by Darrell Porter. Right-hander against right-hander, Jim Barr winding the pitch. Strike on the outside corner at the knee. Boy, he is just making million-dollar pitches. Just needling the corners right now. Now again the pitch. Inside, 1-1. I tell you, if Jim Barr is going to have that kind of control all night, we're in for a long night. Downing puts down a sign. Barr still looking in. Now the Y, and here's the 1-1 pitch. Inside, ball 2, 2-1. Al Cowan's 4 for 12 with 4 RBIs in this series. Hitless in 3 tries against Barr this year. Barr's only other start against the Royals in California on June the 23rd. He lasted only 4 2/3 innings. Change of pace, and it's in for a strike, 2-2, an off-speed breaking ball. The Royals won that ball game 13-4. They scored 7 runs in the 8th inning after Barr was gone. Boy, he is something so far tonight. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Outside, full count, 3-2. The Royals have averaged 14 hits a game in the first 3 games of this series, and he has just strangled them so far tonight. Barr winding the pitch to Cowan. Fly ball, pretty well hit to right field, but over goes Larry Harlow. He's there to make the catch. Cowan's out on a fly ball to right, and 1 out, nobody on to Frank White. Batting 8, number 20, Frank White. The end of 2 innings tonight. The Cubs lead the Cardinals 2-0. Jim Rice has hit his 39th home run in the 7th inning with a man on. It's now Toronto 6, Boston 2. The Expos and Mets underway with their second game. 0-0 after an inning. Montreal won the first game. The pitch to Frank White. Bouncing ball, high chopper over the third baseman's head. Base hit left field. Don Baylor gets it back to the infield. White holds it first with a single. The Royals have their second hit of the night. They played 2 innings in Detroit, 5-3. Baltimore after 2 complete. Here's UL. He had a tough night last night. Nolan Ryan struck him out 4 times, and 4 times up. He's 1 for 8 in this series now. Boy, he has been playing good shortstop. Now it's up on the left side, hitting .244. No doubt UL would like to atone some for last night right here. Fouls 1 back out of play, 1 strike. Blank at first with 23 stolen bases. He's been caught just a half dozen times. Fairly safe lead at the moment. The pitch to Washington is outside, 1-1. The Royals have been doing some running in this series. Frank doesn't look like he's going right now. Now he edges away a bit, makes a false start. Snap throw, not in time. He got back. Boy, he started to go. And Barr wheeled and fired to first, and Frank, who was leaning towards second, really showed some reflexes getting back to first base. Now he comes over to talk to first base coach Steve Boros and kind of gather himself together a bit. Frank had made his move. Hey, those were some reflexes, him getting back to first just then. He was almost picked off. Willie Wilson next, barring the double play. 2-0 California, the bottom of the 3rd. Downing through the signs for his right-hander. Barr into the stretch. Checks Frank White the pitch. UL was going to bunt and miss. In the hole now, 1-2. So Barr has the advantage in the count. He hasn't even come close to walking anybody. He's ready again. Here's the stretch, the 1-2 pitch. Throw to first instead, and Frank White back. I'll tell you what, Jim Barr is not lobbing the ball to first. He's making very serious moves that way. Barr, a veteran. He's 31 years old now, 6'3", 205. He's in his prime. Here's Barr started to go into his windup, or stretch rather, and then backed off the rubber. All of a sudden, he seemed to be uncomfortable. Now we're ready again. Here's the 1-2 pitch to UL Washington. Foul back to the screen, still 1-2. White edges away again at first. About a half step shy of the artificial turf. Now Barr ready. Backs off the rubber to run Frank White back. Boy, Barr working like the Dickens to keep Frank White close over there. Now Washington backs out of the batter's box. Barr trying to help shut down the Royal running game, which has been quite a force in the first 3 games of the series. Again, Frank with a safe lead. Here's the stretch by Barr. There goes Frank, the pitch, outside, Downing's throw to second. He's safe, he's got it stolen. Quite a duel between Jim Barr and Frank White. But Frank winds up with his 24th stolen base of the year, and a big one it is because he's in scoring position now. Brian Downing the mound to talk to Jim Barr a little bit. White's 4th stolen base in this series for the Royals, number 10. The only man that's been caught was Darrell Porter in the 2nd. That was a busted hit and run. Now 2-2 to UL Washington. Base hit cuts the Angel lead in half right here. Barr into his stretch. 2-2 pitch. Ball 3 outside, full count. 3-2 to UL. And Barr just missed that corner. He's asking the plate umpire, Nick Brennigan, was that pitch outside? Brennigan nods his head yes. Barr thought he had the corner. So, big pitch coming. Frank White at second base, 1 out. Full count to Washington. Now UL backs out of the batter's box just a moment. Things unfolding rather slowly here in the bottom of the third. The Angels in front of the Royals 2-0. Here's the stretch. 3-2 pitch. Foul back just below us. Still 3-2. This is game number 153. Just 9 to go after tonight. The Angels go home to play the Texas Rangers 3. The Royals go to Oakland for 3 with the A's. Then the Seals and the Angels get together for 3 in Anaheim. Then the Royals come home to face the A's for 3 while the Angels go to Texas to finish out the season with 3 against the Rangers. 3-2 pitch to Washington. Bouncing ball back to the mound. They are going to throw to first now. They looked at second base where Frank White was almost cut off, but they elected to go to first. White holds at second. The play goes 1-3. So now Frank White at second with 2 out for Willie Wilson, who grounded to second his first time up. UL hit it rather sharply, but right back to the pitcher. Willie with a 6-game hitting streak, 5 for 18 in this series. He was 2 for 2 against Jim Barr when he faced him in California, but boy, Jim Barr was a much different pitcher that night. In fact, Willie led off that game with a single and scored in the first inning as the Royals took an immediate lead. Barr from the stretch, the pitch to Willie. Inside, ball 1. Willie, as you know, a switch hitter up on the left side. In close to the plate, here's the stretch, the pitch. Ball 2 outside, 2-0. And Barr not quite as sharp in this inning with his control as he has been through the first 2. He's not bad, but he's just not as sharp as he was. Barr fidgeting. Going to all parts of his uniform. The Royals and everybody else accuse him of loading the ball up. Whitey was thrown out of the game the last time Barr pitched against him, in fact. Now he wheels and throws to second. Frank White back in time. Wilson's average, 314. A 364 hitter against California. So he's been tough on the Angels. Barr taking a lot of time. Goes to his uniform, now to his cap, now to his uniform pants. And now looks in for the side. Now the stretch. 2-0 pitch to Willie. Line, base hit, left field. Frank White turning around third. And Baylor's going to throw to second to keep Willie at first. It's a 2-1 ball game. Wilson singles and the Royals are on the board. Again, the stolen base pays the dividend. Frank White single steals second, and Willie Wilson cashes it in. Willie, who has stolen more bases than anybody in baseball, on the other end of it that time, getting the RBI. And now we'll see what Willie's up to. Hal McRae, the hitter, he was called out on strikes his first time up. Willie has a good lead. He's at the edge of the artificial turf. Stretched by Barr. Throw to first, Willie back. Wilson has stolen 74 this year. He has stolen 34 of his last 35 attempts. He's edging away. Al McRae deep in the batter's box waiting. Throw to first, Willie back. Boy, Barr just carved McRae up his first time at the plate. Got 2 strikes on him pitching away, came in hard twice, then got him looking with a slider away. And Al McRae, a very intelligent hitter. Obviously, would be up there with a thought right now. First thought probably is let Willie steal second if he can. Second thought is he probably can. Stretched by Barr. Willie not going. The pitch is inside. Ball 1, so Barr started him inside that time. George Brett in the on-deck circle. Now 2-1 California. The outfield straight away. Downing puts down the sign. Barr at the belt. There goes Willie. The pitch is outside. The throw to second. Safe. He's got it stolen. Number 75 for Willie Wilson. Well, the Royals cashed one earlier. Now Willie steals it. He represents the tying run with 2 out, and Hal McRae has to count his way at 2-0. Only 4 players before Willie Wilson in American League history have ever stolen 75. Clyde Milan, Eddie Collins, Bill North. And the crowd giving Willie a standing ovation. The pitch to Mack. Ground ball up the middle, base hit center field. Wilson's going to score, and the Royals have caught the Angels in the bottom of the third. And Willie Wilson clapping as he hits home plate. And look at the dugout. Oh, you would think it's the 9th inning. The running game giving the Royals a big lift. And Jim Barr looking like he had him shut off to the first 2. And all of a sudden, the Royals rise up with 2 singles and 2 stolen bases. They cash them both. And out comes manager Jim Fragosi now to talk to his right-hander, Jim Barr. It's early. Remember that. But the Royals coming back in this inning with some intensity. Running, forcing things, and making them happen, and then cashing them in. 2 stolen bases in the inning, and they cash them both. And Willie Wilson keys the inning with a 2-out single that drives home the first run, then stealing a base and scoring the second one. We mentioned the 3 who had stolen 75 previously. Clyde Milan did it twice. Eddie Collins, that was in 1909 and 1911. Eddie Collins did it in 1910, Bill North in 1976. So Willie Wilson is only the 2nd American leaguer in the last 64 years, and only the 5th in history to ever do it. Steals 75 in a year. Now McRae at first with 2 out. Here's George Brett. George struck out his first time up. 2 out, bottom of the third, 2-2 tie. In the California bullpen. The pitch to Brett way outside and high, and Barr missing badly with the pitch for the first time tonight. This is raw baseball. The wind is no factor. It's not blowing. It will help neither hitter nor pitcher. Barr at the belt. The pitch to Brett. Strike on the outside corner, 1-1, and Barr comes back showing the good control he had earlier. George at .332 with 21 home runs, 103 batted in. Started the night just 5 points behind Fred Lynn in the American League batting rate. There's the stretch by the right-hander. 1-1 pitch. Bouncing ball to the second baseman, Bob Grich. Shovels to the shortstop for the force out. The inning is over. But the Royals get 2 runs on 3 hits with a couple of stolen bases. They leave a man. And at the end of 3, the Royals 2, the Angels 2. We go to the 4th. The Royals have caught the Angels. We're tied 2-2. The Royals have out-hit them 4-2. And leading off for California, Ralph Garr. That's right. Ralph Garr. They acquired him this afternoon from the Chicago White Sox. He popped to short his first time up. Gator, the left-handed batter, hitting .280. 9 home runs, 39 batted in. Well, he's changed. He is right on top of home plate. Chamberlain throws a fastball, and Garr whacks it into right field for a base hit. Left-handed batter, he had his right foot right on the plate practically. So Garr singles right, and he hit it hard. And now the Angels get the lead run aboard to start the 4th, and here's Don Baylor, who homered his first time up. Baylor now hitting .301 with 35 homers, 136 batted in. He leads the American League in that department. Jim Rice has hit a 2-run homer, so he's at least 8 in front of Rice. Throw to first, Garr back. Garr with good speed, but not a good base stealer. He's stolen 2 and been caught 4 times this year. He's a step shy of the artificial turf. Looks like he wants to run. The throw to Baylor. Low, blocked by Porter. Garr not going anywhere, 1-0. The outfield plays Baylor deep in the full. Pretty good place to play him. He went deep with it the first time. Boy, Baylor, a rare combination of speed and power. He is big, he can run. 1-0 pitch to him. High fly ball, shallow center. Washington backing out, the shortstop calling for it. Makes the catch, one away. Gar will hold it first. So Chamberlain gets Baylor on the pop up to short. We'll pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is Royals Baseball Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Carew, the hitter now. He was out on a fly ball to center his first time up. Carew's averaged .313, 3 homers, 43 batted in. Left-handed hitter. Chamberlain ready to pitch to Carew. Ball high. 1-0. The only American League final, Minnesota beat New York this afternoon, 3-1 in a makeup game. Chamberlain at the belt, checks guard first to pitch. Carew takes outside, ball 2. Two tie, top of the fourth. Ralph Gar at first with 1 out. And a tough hitter in there. 2-0 pitch, there goes Gar. Line down the left field line, twisting foul. The Angels on 2-0 were playing hit and run. You think Jim Fregosi didn't want that ball to be fair? He came out of the dugout to look down the line. Fregosi was about 3 steps out of the dugout looking it over. You think both sides think this game means something tonight? 2 balls and a strike to Carew. He is 2 for 13 in this series, and that scares you a little bit. Chamberlain now throws to first, Gar back. The pitch. Carew hits a high fly ball left field and shallow. Wilson coming. He's there. He's got it. Gar retreats to first, 2 gone. So Chamberlain gets Baylor and Carew, now faces Brian Downing, who lined to left his first time up. Gar at first with 2 out. Frank White in to say a couple of words to Craig Chamberlain. Boston batting the top of the 9th in Toronto. The Blue Jays lead 6-2. Baltimore batting the top of the 4th, Detroit. Baltimore 5, the Tigers 3. The Orioles' magic number is 3. Brian Downing, right-handed batter in. Chamberlain's pitch. Fastball for a strike on the outer part of the plate, 0-1. Tomorrow night in Oakland, Paul Splittorff against Rick Langford. Whitey Herzog at 9:10 tomorrow night. So the first runner back. I said 9:10 and I had to check. California Angels are home tomorrow night to play the Texas Rangers. The pitch. Swing and a miss. 0-2 to Downing, and if he ever take a rip, he went flying across home plate. He almost disassembled. He swung the bat so hard. He's a right-handed batter, and he wound up on the first base side of the batter's box. You think there'll be some scoreboard watching on the West Coast tomorrow night? Part 2 of your question. Do you think the Oakland scoreboard will work? This is the stretch. 0-2 pitch. Low and outside, ball 1. You know, they've taken down that big scoreboard in Anaheim, the Big A. And they're operating with a high school type scoreboard. They've got up above the left field fence. Or a little electric kind. They'll be announcing the score in Anaheim a lot. Here's the stretch. 1-2 pitch to Brian Downing. There goes the runner. Pitch is popped up. Foul territory playable. Darrell Porter off with the mask. He's got it. The inning is over. So Craig Chamberlain works around the leadoff single by Gar. He gets Baylor, Carew, and Downing. No runs, a hit, a man left. To the bottom of the fourth we go. The Royals 2 and the Angels 2. Bottom of the fourth, a 2-2 tie. Darrell Porter will lead it off. He singled his first time up. Offensively in this series, Willie Wilson is now 6 for 19. He's scored 4 runs. Al McRae is now 7 for 14. George Brett is 7 for 14. Darrell Porter, 7 for 13. Lecoq, 5 for 13. Frank White, 5 for 13. So the Royals have had some offensive work. Barr to Porter. Outside, took something off of it, ball 1. Porter, Lecoq, Otis in the bottom of the fourth. Royals have hit California 4-3. They're tied 2-2. Barr's pitch to Porter. Breaking ball low, 2-0. Darrell hitting .293, 20 home runs, 108 RBIs. He's just 4 RBIs shy of the Royal team record, 112 set by Al Cowan. 2-0 pitch, low, ball 3, 3-0. So Barr, who had tremendous control the first 2 innings, now falling behind Darrell Porter, 3-0. Here's the pitch. He walked him on 4th straight. Darrell Porter draws the base on balls to lead off the Royal half of the 4th inning. So the lead run is on for the Royals. It was for the Angels to start the top of the 4th, and Craig Chamberlain checked them. Darrell Porter now has walked 108 times this year. He's driven in 108 runs. He has scored 96. Pete Lecoq grounded to short his first time up, has a 5-game hitting streak going. Stretched by Barr, the pitch. Strike on the outside corner to Pete Lecoq. So Jim Barr relocated that corner. Pete with a look at his third base coach, Chuck Hiller, who rolled through a series of signs for him. Rod Carew trying to keep Porter close to first. Line drive towards the gap in left center, but Don Baylor closes the gap and makes the catch. It was actually more of a fly ball than a line drive. It stayed up. And Lecoq is out. Porter holds it first. Now here's Amos Otis, who grounded to short his first time up. When the Royals faced Barr back in June, Otis was 2 for 3 against him with a home run and 4 RBIs. Barr got him the first time up tonight. Happy to have Armed Forces Radio with us. Wherever you are in the world tonight, hope you're enjoying baseball from the States. Pitch outside to Otis. California Angels, Kansas City Royals. We're at Royal Stadium, Kansas City. It's a big ball game. After tonight, 9 games left in the regular season. The Angels at the moment 2 games in front of the Royals. So this one means something. Barr at the belt, the 1-0 pitch to Otis. Ground ball back to the mound. Might be a double play. Shortstop has 1. Back to first, 2, and the inning is over. 1-6-3. The Angels turn it over. So the Royals waste the leadoff walk in the bottom of the 4th. No runs, no hits. Nobody left. And after 4, the Royals 2, the Angels 2. We go to the top of the 5th inning. For California, it'll be Gritch, Harlow, and Anderson to face Craig Chamberlain. Royals 2, the Angels 2. We go to the 5th, and again, here's Denny. All right, Fred, Bob Gritch has struck out. He's 0 for 1 in the contest. 2 runs on 4 hits for the Royals, 2 runs on 3 hits for California, and neither team is theirs. Bobby Gritch setting himself at the plate. The line by Craig Chamberlain, and here's the pitch. It's inside, 1 ball, no strike. Chamberlain has 3 strikeouts thus far. Hasn't walked anybody. It into left center field. Base hit. Willie over quickly to cut it off, and Gritch will hang on with a single. So Bob Gritch gets his 4th hit of the series. Now Larry Harlow coming up. Larry tripled and scored in the 3rd inning. The 2 California runs. Don Baylor, a leadoff homer in the 2nd. Harlow started the 3rd inning with a triple and scored on Anderson's sacrifice fly. For the 3rd time in 5 innings, the Angels have their leadoff man aboard. Harlow checking with his third base coach, Bobby Knopf, before stepping in.
Royals are looking for the butt, but Harlow's going to swing away, and he chops one foul right at the plate. No balls and one strike. Well, we would like to salute and congratulate one of our fine network stations, KDRO in Sedalia. They are celebrating their 40th birthday this month. They've been on the air 40 years. One of our original network stations, KDRO. Their fine sports director, Jimmy Glenn. So happy birthday to KDRO in Sedalia. No balls and one strike on left-handed hitting Larry Harlow. Bob Gritch at first draws the throw. Bob has a very, very conservative lead over there. Scoreboard totals identical. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors. Chamberlain's pitch is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Shortstop Jim Anderson in the on-deck circle. This is the 4th and final game of the series. Royals lead the series 2 games to 1. Chamberlain's 1-1 pitch to Harlow is lifted to center field. Well hit, but room for Otis. Backtracking, still retreating to make the catch. Larry Harlow flies to deep center. 1 away, and up comes shortstop Jim Anderson. Anderson got Harlow home with a scoring fly ball to center in the 3rd inning. Top of the 5th inning, game tied 2-2. The pitch to Jim Anderson is just a bit high, 1 ball and no strikes. Anderson was the Angels' 2nd selection in the 1975 June draft. Worked his way up through the Angels system. Chamberlain's pitch is upstairs, ball 2, 2-0. Galen Cisco pops out of the Royal dugout and heads for the mound. Craig's mechanics breaking down just a little bit here in the inning. He's been up to Jim Anderson. Bob Gritch started the inning with a solid single, then Harlow hit the ball hard. Spotting that little mechanical flaw is now trying to get Craig back in the groove. It looks like this is an oversimplification, but not following through. In other words, everything's ahead of the arm and the ball is up. Jim Anderson, meanwhile, checking with Bobby Knopf, the coach at third. Jim Fregosi watching his team from this near end of the Angel dugout. No strikes on California shortstop Jim Anderson. Bob Gritch at first. 1 away. Here's the pitch. Fouled straight back. This one will get the upper deck. And it's 2-1. Toronto defeated Boston 6-2. Baylor Moore the win. Rinko the loss. Rice at his 39th home run. 2 balls, 1 strike. The pitch to Anderson. Popped up. Shallow right center field. Everybody chasing it. Al Collins coming in to make the play, and they're 2 down. But Craig able to come back from the 2-0 count to Jim Anderson. And here's Rick Miller, who flied to center in the 1st, was called out on strikes in the 3rd. The American League leader in home runs is Milwaukee's Gorman Thomas. He has 42. Broke the tie with teammate Fred Lynn. Strike on the outside edge. 0-1 on Rick Miller. Arnie Lansford to follow. Game tied 2-2 in the top of the 5th. The Angels got 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd. The Royals 2 in the bottom of the 3rd. Gritch at first, 2 away, draws the throw and is back standing. The play rather close. Chamberlain has a very quick move over to first. And Gritch just found out all about it. Scar singled to start the fourth inning, but he was unable to move. The 0-1 delivery, blowing inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Here in the fifth, the leadoff single by Bob Gritch, but now there are 2 out, and he's still standing at first. So the Angels unable to move their base runners. Toss over to first, Bobby back to the bag. But oh, how the Royals move their base runners in the bottom of the third inning. The classic case of getting the most out of the least. Rich a little bigger lead, doesn't go. The pitch to Miller is right through there. We count 1 and 2. Rick Miller against the Royals this year has just 1 hit and 8 trips. A ball, 2 strikes on the left-handed hitter. Chamberlain's pitch. Missed the outside corner. And it evens out. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Have won 82, the Royals have won 80. The Royals have lost 72, the Angels have lost 70. Signal given by Darrell Porter, and now the 2-2 pitch on the way. Ball 3, 3 and 2. That was a big pitch for Chamberlain because now with 3 and 2 and 2 out, Bobby Gritch will be off and running. Carney Lansford coming up next. Chamberlain about to make a big pitch. 3 and 2, 2 out in the fifth inning. Here it comes. Ground ball, base hit left field. Gritch, even though he was running, must stop at second. And here's Carney Lansford, who has struck out and bounced to the third baseman. Lansford is now 1 out of 13 in this series. Rod Carew is 2 out of 14. Don Baylor is 3 out of 13. 2 on, 2 out, a 2-2 tie in the top of the fifth. Well, Craig was out in front of Rick Miller, but let him get away. The pitch to Carney Lansford is sky to center. That should end the inning. Amos Otis moving in. Under the ball, makes the catch, and that retires the side. And Lansford is now 1 out of 14. 2 hits, no runs, a couple of men left. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Royals 2, California 2.
The report says Alan Eagleson has decided to refuse a request from the association to concentrate solely on the association matters.
A 2-2 tie at Royal Stadium. We go to the bottom of the fifth inning, and here is Al Collins facing Jim Barr. Line by the right-hander in the pitch. Started to go for a slider. Checked his swing, but the pitch broke into the strike zone, and the count is 0-1. Barr is 6'3", 215-pounder. A professional since 1970. Southern California native. Blowing outside to Collins, 1-1. Al flied to right field his first time up. Jim Barr's best season was 1974 with the San Francisco Giants. He won 13, lost 9, had an ERA of 2.74. 7th best in the National League. Good fastball on the outside corner, and it's 1-2. Jim Barr owns the Major League record for retiring 41 consecutive batters. That was back in 1972. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball is bounced to the shortstop. Anderson gets the big hop. Over to Rod Carew in time, 1 out. Here's Frank White. Frank started the Royals' 2-run third inning. He singled, stole a base, and scored. Royals used 3 singles and 2 stolen bases to produce the 2 runs. Two runs, 5 hits for California. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Royals. The line by Barr in the pitch. Sharp-breaking slider is blown away. 1 ball and no strike. Downing hangs out a sign for Jim. Here's the pitch. Fly fly ball, right center field, well hit. Back goes Miller, back goes Harlow, and she is off the wall, and down goes Harlow in a heap. Frank White around second on his way to third. To throw to third, not in time. Off the wall in right center field. And I must say this, Larry Harlow really didn't play the ball that well. It hit about halfway up on the wall. He would have had time perhaps to get back to the wall, but he chose to jump. And he just failed to come down to the baseball. And the Royals have a chance to take the lead with UL Washington up there. The Angels now are forced to pull their infield in for the play at the plate. UL grounded back to the pitcher his first time up. Jim Barr asking for time, wants to talk with second baseman Bob Britt. So Frank White is 2 for 2, a single and a triple. Washington has 18 RBIs. He could produce number 19 right here. What a big one it will be. Infield in, the outfield shallow and shaded toward left. Barr's pitch squeezes on. And they sensed it. Frank White being chased back toward third, and Tony Lansford tags him out. Well, they either picked off the side or gambled and won, one of the two. The Royals were going to squeeze on the first pitch. The Angels pitched out. Frank White was halfway between home and third when Downing caught the ball, and Bryan ran him back toward third, gave the ball to Lansford, who tagged him out. Big play in a big ball game. Instead of having the lead run at third and one out, the bases are empty, 2 away. 1 ball, no strikes. That will go as a caught stealing. And for Frank, just the 7th time this year. UL swinging away, foul tip. 1 ball and 1 strike. Barr getting the sign from Downing. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball is sliced foul off third into the lower deck, 1-2. A ball, 2 strikes on UL Washington. Ball game in the bottom of the 5th, a 2-2 tie. Jim Barr brings it home. Fastball missed away, 2-2. Was the Giants' second pick in the summer of 1970. The Giants' first draft choice that summer was a fellow by the name of Dave Kingman. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Barr nodding yes to his catcher. The 2-2 pitch to Washington. Missed blowing outside, 3-2. The Royals have lost a runner at second base. They've lost one between home and third, but they've also scored 2 runs by virtue of the stolen base. Works both ways. Slicing foul will be into the crowd. Lower deck up the left field line. Still 3-2 on UL Washington. Two out. Here's Barr's pitch. Line drive into shallow center field. In comes Miller. Makes the catch. And that's the inning. 1 hit, no runs. The Royals strand none. And the score at the end of 5. Royals 2, California 2. National League Supervisor. Denny Matthews at Royal Stadium. We go to the top of the 6th. A 2-2 tie, and Ralph Garr leads off for the Angels. Ralph popped a shortstop in the first, singled in the 4th. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Royals. 2 runs, 5 hits for California. The Pitch to the left-handed batter is a bouncing ball, short hop by Lecoq. He brings it back to the bag, one away. Here's Don Baylor, who lined a home run over the wall in left in the second, and then popped to the shortstop in the fourth. The Angels came up with one in the second and one in the third. The Royals scored two in the bottom of the third to tie it. And here we are in the top of the sixth. Off speed and a ball. Barely missed. 1 ball and no strikes to Don Baylor. Don with 35 home runs, 136 runs batted in. The pitch to the right-handed batter. Outside, ball 2, 2-0. Don hit 34 home runs last year, so his home run in the second inning tonight, surpassing his total of last year by 1. The 2-0 pitch. Foul ball, backing out of play. 35 is a career high. Two balls and 1 strike on Don Baylor. Chamberlain's pitch is swung late and hit into the crowd. Foul, no play down the right field line. Pete Lecoq way down into the corner, but no chance. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Don Baylor. Rod Carew kneeling in the on-deck circle. Houston leading Atlanta by the score of 4-0 after 4 in Houston. The Astros 2.5 back of the Cincinnati Reds. The 2-2 pitch to Baylor, struck him out. So Chamberlain gets his 4th strikeout. And here's Rod Carew. Rod flied to center in the second, flied to left in the fourth. That is only the 48th time that Don Baylor has struck out this year. Carew spins one foul into the crowd, back of the California dugout, and it's 0-1. As Houston leads Atlanta 4-0 after 4 in Houston, they are just starting in San Diego, the Reds and the Padres. Fred Norman for the Reds and Randy Jones for the Padres, 2 small left-handers. The 0-1 pitch. Rod drills one into the right field corner. That'll be extra bases. He wheels around first and into second base with a 2-out double. Carew's double gives Brian Downing a chance to put the Angels back on top. Downing flied to left in the second, fouled out to the catcher in the fourth. The Tigers 6, Baltimore 6 after 4 in Detroit. Montreal and the Mets, no score after 4 innings in their second game. Pirates lost and Montreal won their first. Montreal and the Pirates in a first-place tie in the National League East. Rod Carew at second, 2 down. The pitch to Downing. Strike on the outside edge. Downing up there in that wide open stance, almost directly facing the pitcher. Chamberlain's 0-1 delivery. Breaking stuff misses away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Just looking to pull. You better just concede the inside half of the plate to him. The 1-1 pitch, way outside, 2 balls and a strike. If he should get a ball on the inside half of the plate in that kind of a stance, he could just drill holes in that left field wall all night. But Craig has pitched him well so far. A fly ball to left, a foul ball to the catcher. He needs to get him here with Rod Carew at second and 2 out in a 2-2 ball game. Way upstairs, ball 3, 3-1. And Bobby Gritch standing in the on-deck circle watching Craig Chamberlain very intently. 3-1, so the count is Downing's way. Chamberlain gets the sign from Porter. The 3-1 delivery. He led up, and it's blowing outside, ball 4. And runners at first and second for Bob Gritch. Gritch struck out in the second. He singled in the fifth. For Craig Chamberlain, that would be the first base on balls that he has issued tonight. 2 on, 2 out, a 2-2 game. Top of the 6th. Bobby Gritch, right-handed batter. The outfield straight away. Chamberlain brings it home. Gritch takes low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. They go to work out in the Royal bullpen. Darrell Porter out to talk with Chamberlain. Right-hander Reedy Martin and left-hander Gary Christensen go to work out in the Royal pen. The Angels have had base runners in every inning except the first. One ball and no strikes on Bobby Gritch. Rod Carew at second. Brian Downing, the runner at first. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Swung and he missed. And it's a ball and a strike. Moment at Royal Stadium. 1-1. Here's the pitch. Foul ball will get out of play over the Royal dugout and into the seats. 1-2 now the count. So the advantage to the pitcher. The tension will continue to mount as we work our way out of the middle portion of the ball game into the late innings. And we're now in the top of the 6th. So you're getting down to your final 9, 10, 11, 12 outs. Foul ball back to the screen. Still 1-2 on Bobby Gritch. For Bobby Gritch, a veteran, he's been through the pennant pressures before. He, of course, was with Baltimore from 1971 on. Then he's in his 3rd year now with the Angels. 1-2 with 2 on and 2 out. Fastball outside and low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gritch, a 3-time All-Star, a 4-time Gold Glove winner. Bob did well against the Royals last year, 353. 2-2. Here's Chamberlain's pitch. He struck him out. He took a little something off the ball. That's his 5th strikeout. No runs, 1 hit, a walk, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It remains Royals 2, California 2. Bottom of the 6th inning, a 2-2 tie. Willie Wilson leading off. Willie singled to drive in a run, stole a base, and scored in the 3rd. Bounced to 2nd in the 1st. Here's the line by Jim Barr in the pitch. Popped up, short center field. Everybody chasing it. Second baseman Gritch under the ball, and Bob makes the play. 1 pitch, 1 out. Here's Al McRae. Al singled in a run in the 3rd inning, struck out in the 1st. Barr has walked 1. He has struck out 2. No strikeouts, though, since the 1st inning. 2 runs, a half a dozen hits for the Angels. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Royals. Right-hander against right-hander. Barr to Al McRae. It's outside. 1 ball, no strike. In Oakland tomorrow night, it'll be Paul Splittorff against Rick Langford. Saturday, Dennis Leonard and Matt Teo. Sunday, Larry Gura and Mike Morgan. The 1-0 pitch from Barr. Breaking stuff outside, 2-0. A perfect night for a ball game, no breeze whatsoever. The temperature in the 70s. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swung and he missed. 2-1. Royals have stranded just one runner. That came in the third inning, the inning in which they scored their 2 runs. The line by Barr in the pitch. Swung and he missed. Jim keeping the ball away from Hal. McCray asking the plate umpire, was that a strike? Remigan answered him verbally. Two balls and 2 strikes on Hal McCray. Here comes the pitch. He struck him out. Hal McCray goes down swinging. And that will bring up Brett. George, a strikeout victim his first time up. He rolled into a force play, ending the third inning. George with 207 hits, 21 of them home runs. Barr in pitching in 196 innings has surrendered 22 homers. Bases empty, 2 out, bottom of the 6th, a 2-2 tie. Let up is outside. Barr really hasn't tried to jam many of the Royal hitters. His patterns of both left-handers and right-handers just keep the ball away. There's a fastball on the outside corner, 1-1. He has thrown the fastball inside, particularly to a few right-handed batters, but not for strikes. They've been inside. So he's making his living tonight on the outside corner. 1-1 to George Brett. Right-hander ready and deals. Fastball misses away, 2-1. Nick Bremigan calling the balls and strikes. You talk about pressure on the players, the manager, but the umpires have to live with it too. 2 balls and a strike on George. Here's the pitch. Over but low, 3-1. And Darrell Porter waits in the on-deck circle. Deep in right field is Larry Harlow. Jim Barr thinking over his pitches. The 3-1 pitch. It's sharply off the glove of Rod Carew into right field. Brett will make the turn and try for second. Harlow throw to second. He is going to be out. Anderson held the ball. That was the only question. Brett saying, no, he didn't tag me. And Whitey Herzog will go out and argue. If the inning is over, we'll have to wait and see whether they call that a base hit or an error on Rod Carew. Probably a base hit. He hit it very sharply. It is a single. So the Royals 1 hit, no runs. And after 6 innings, Royals 2, California 2. Doug. 6 innings in at Royal Stadium. The Angels, 2 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. The Royals, 2 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. The Angels, 1 in the second, a home run by Don Baylor. 1 in the third, a triple by Harlow. A sacrifice fly by Jim Anderson. The Royals, 2 in the bottom of the third. A 1-out single by Frank White. A stolen base. A 2-out single by Willie Wilson tied it. A stolen base by Willie, number 75. And a single by Hal McCray tied the ball game. So it's 2-2. Quite a contest. To the 7th we go, and here again is Fred.
All right, thank you, Denny. Denny told you the totals are identical. Just watching the ball game, the Angels have seemed to have the upper hand just a little bit. They've had a couple of threats the last 2 innings. They've had 2 men on, but Craig Chamberlain fought them off. Now he'll face Larry Harlow, who has tripled and hit a ball to the warning track in center, so he's hit it hard twice. Ball outside, ball 1. The Angels have hit the ball hard consistently tonight. They have a home run, a triple, and a double. Half their hits, extra bases. Harlow fouls 1 out of play, 1 ball, 1 strike. A 208 hitter, but as we said, he's pounded it pretty good twice tonight. He tripled the gap in left center. He sent Otis to the warning track in center. 1 ball, 1 strike, the outfield straight away. Craig Chamberlain winding the pitch. Harlow lines it into right field, base hit. So again, the Angels have the leadoff man aboard. That's one of the reasons, again, why you feel they've had the upper hand.
Shortstop, Jim Anderson.
This is the fourth time in the ball game, not counting Baylor's home run. They've put their leadoff man aboard. He homered leading off the second, so that's 5, actually. Now Jim Anderson, the number 9 hitter. He's had a sacrifice fly out on a fly ball to right. The Royals will be looking for bunt here. So it's Harlow, a 205 hitter, who is 2 for 3 and has hit the ball hard 3 times tonight, who is providing some thrust for the Angel offense. Go to first, runner back. Around the bunt, Henderson bunts back to the mound. Chamberlain is going to throw to second base. Not in time, a low throw. And UL Washington couldn't pick it up cleanly. Chamberlain did not hurry, really, getting to the ball, and kind of took his time and then threw across his body. He didn't turn around to throw. Not a good play by the Royal pitcher. And the throw late to boot. Now out comes Galen Cisco, so now the Angels do have something going. Action in the Royal bullpen, and the Angels have another threat going. Left-hander Gary Christensen, right-hander Rainey Martin are throwing in the Royal bullpen. A sacrifice and a fielder's choice the way they score it. And runners at first and second, nobody out. Now the top of the order, Rick Miller, Carney Lansford, and Ralph Garr coming up for California. And now Jim Fragosi can bunt with Rick Miller if he chooses. And get runners to second and third, he will hope, with nobody out. The Royals can counter that by putting a play on if they choose. Well, we'll see what's happening. While the conferences go on, we'll remind you Pabst beer is in a league all by itself because Pabst is brewed naturally. Now Galen Cisco back to the dugout. Here's Rick Miller. 1 for 3 tonight. Singled his last time up, and now the Angels, wanting no mistakes, are going to get together. Third base coach Bobby Cannot calls Rick Miller up the third base line to talk to him. And we'll see if the Royals put a play on. Brett is shortened up at third. Pete Lecoq at first. UL Washington, the shortstop, is over toward third, so they may have the play on where Washington goes to third, and the Royals try to get the force out over there. Harlow with the runner at second has pretty good speed. Brett down the line, around the bunt. Miller bunts up the third base line. They're going to go to third. They got him. The Royals put the play on and get the force at third. George Brett was charging down the line, and he was looking Rick Miller right in the eye, and Miller bunted the ball right at him. So they get the force out at third, the play going 5-6, the shortstop UL Washington covering. Harlow forced at third. Anderson goes to second, and Miller now at first, and Carney Lansford the hitter. He's 0 for 3 tonight. I'll tell you, George Brett was looking right down the barrel that time, and he made the play. Now Lansford in, the stretch by Chamberlain, the pitch. Ball inside, ball 1, and the pitch a little up. 2-2 tie, top of the 7th. The Angels with runners at first and second, 1 out. Carney Lansford, a .292 hitter. Right-hander against right-hander. Chamberlain ready off the stretch, the 1-0 pitch. Lined into left field, base hit. Willie Wilson plays it on the short hop, the runner around third. The throw is going to be to the plate. Not in time. The runner scores. And the Angels take the lead, 3-2. Just the second hit in this series for Carney Lansford, but what a big one it is. He drives in his 73rd run of the year. And the Angels have taken the 3-2 lead. Still runners at first and second, 1 out. Ralph Garr, the hitter. Garr 1 for 3 tonight. So Carney Lansford comes through with a big base hit for the California Angels. And the Royals not out of the woods yet here. comes Whitey Herzog. Darrell Porter walked out to the mound and looked into the dugout. So out comes Whitey. And that's going to do it for Craig Chamberlain. They want the left-hander Gary Christensen to pitch to Ralph Garr. And we'll see if Jim Fagosi counters that move. So the Royals are going to make a pitching change. We're in the top of the 7th. The Angels have runners at first and second, one out, a run home. The change made with a score. The Angels 3, the Royals 2.
While the Cincinnati Reds and the Houston Astros battle on, Chicago is batting in the top of the 9th inning.
Rookie left-hander Gary Christensen comes out of the Royal bullpen to make his 6th appearance of the year. He was called up from Omaha after the September 1st deadline. He's worked 10 1/3 innings, given 10 hits, a home run. Has no decisions, no saves. And he will face Ralph Garr here, and Ralph Garr very much a key man in the ballgame now. The Angels have taken the 1-run lead. And they have runners at first and second with just one out. If Garr gets a hit, it's Baylor and Carew coming up. So Garr could really set up a big inning. He is the key man in the ballgame right now. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Rini Martin ready in the bullpen. Al Rabosky throwing now. Right-handed hitters coming up. This likely the only man that Christensen will face. 3-2 Angels, top of the 7th. And the Royals in hot water. Garr digs in. Christensen at the belt to pitch. Strike call, breaking ball. Garr was backing off. Garr can run like the Dickens. He would be a tough man to double up. He has popped up and grounded out. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Bouncing ball, high bounce to the mound. Christensen's only play to first. He's got Garr. The runners move up, and they're at second and third for Don Baylor now. And out comes Whitey Herzog. So Christensen got his man, although Garr did advance the runners. Now first base open with Baylor coming up. And Whitey Herzog wants the right-hander. So Rini Martin now will come out of the bullpen. Christensen got his man. He got Garr, although the high bouncer to the mound allowed the runners to advance. So now it's runners at second and third with 2 out. Another pitching change made. The score still. The Angels 3, the Royals 2.
Can't see.
Appearance number 22 now for Rini Martin. He's 1-0 lost 3. He has 4 saves. And all he has asked to do here is to retire the man who leads the major leagues and runs batted in. Runners at second and third, 2 out. The Angels leading 3-2. And Don Baylor at the plate. Baylor, a 300 hitter with 35 home runs, 136 RBIs. First base is open, but forget it. Rod Carew is in the on-deck circle, so
Left fielder Don Baylor.
you've got to go after Baylor here. Now Dan Quisenberry joins Al Rabosky in the bullpen. Gary Christensen got a big out. Rini Martin now asked to do the same thing. Baylor in. Martin picks up the sign. And here comes the pitch. Lined into center field, a base hit, and that's worth 2 runs. And Baylor again comes through for the California Angels. They lead 5-2. Don Baylor not waiting. He went right after the first pitch, and he drilled it right back up the middle. So Miller scores and Lansford scores. And the Angels have scored 3 in the top of the 7th. They lead now 5-2. Well, all year long, it has been Don Baylor who has been the man for the California Angels. And here tonight, with the pressure on the Angels, they needed the win. He homered in the second, and now he has driven a 2-run single in the 7th inning. So Baylor now has driven in 138 runs. And 3 very, very big ones here tonight. Now Rod Carew will hit with Baylor at first and 2 out. And the Royals are going to be forced to come from behind. 5-2 California, the top of the 7th. And a wild throw to first on a pickoff attempt up the right field line, and Don Baylor now goes to second base. An error on the pitcher, Rini Martin. And that could be a very big play, because now you've got Carew at the plate with Baylor in scoring position. Jim Fragosi, the Angel manager, wants to talk to the first base umpire now. Jim Fragosi wants to know if Pete McCock and trying to grab that throw obstructed Don Baylor. The first base umpire, Jim Evans, did not call it. So now Baylor at second, you've got first base open, and Rod Carew at the plate, so they won't fool with Rod Carew here. Brian down in the on-deck circle, so they're going to walk Rod Carew. And it'll be runners at first and second, 2 out for Brian Downing. The Royals have had a dickens of time getting anything going against Jim Barr here tonight. Now they're down by 3 runs in the 7th. After tonight, there are 9 games left in the season. If the Angels win it, they have a 3-game lead. And it'll be very, very tough for the Royals. Now out comes Whitey Herzog, and he'll want Dan Quisenberry to pitch to Brian Downing. So the Royals will make their 3rd pitching change here in the inning. So Whitey battling, trying to stop the Angels here. He wants matchups that he wants. So Dan Quisenberry will become the 4th Royal pitcher here in the inning. Craig Chamberlain, the starting pitcher, began the inning. Christensen came out and got 1 man, Rennie Martin. Gave up the single to Don Baylor. Now walks Carew intentionally after a throwing error. So right-hander Dan Quisenberry now will be asked to get Brian Downing. And while we have a moment, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Royals Baseball Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Quisenberry, who picked up a save here last night, now makes his 30th appearance of the year. He's won 3, lost 2, and saved 4. His earned run average 2.57. 5-2, California in the top of the 7th. It'll be Porter, Lecoq, and Otis for the Royals in the bottom of the inning. We mentioned earlier that California all year long has been a good offensive club late in the ball games, and you could sort of see it coming. They mounted threats in the 5th and the 6th, but Craig Chamberlain fought them off. Now they break through here in the 7th. Taking his warm-up tosses. 32,659 here at Royal Stadium tonight. You can close the books now on Craig Chamberlain. In 6 1/3 innings, he gave up 8 hits and 5 runs. They were all earned. We have a moment. We'll salute the Uniroyal dealers. Uniroyal Tyrant Auto at 3503 South Nolan Road in Independence, Missouri. And D&H Tire at 919 Troop in Kansas City, Missouri. Dan Quisenberry finishing his warm-up tosses. And now Brian Downing will be the hitter. Don Baylor at second. Rod Carew at first. 2 out. So the Royals pulled out all the stops the inning, trying to stop the Angels. But Carney Lansford delivered 1 big single and Don Baylor another. And now here's Brian Downing. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He's walked, lined out, and fouled out. And he could punch a great big hole in this ball game right here. Quisenberry working off the stretch. The pitch to Brian Downing on the way. Breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. Good crowd now, somewhat subdued by this Angel charge in the top of the 7th. Royals have 3 more shots at it. Quisenberry ready. Long look at the runners, the pitch. Ball inside, the count evens out 1-1. The Angels now have out hit the Royals 9-6. Rabowski still throwing in the bullpen. Quisenberry's pitch. Downing takes outside. Ball 2, 2-1. High breaking ball that missed away. What with all the pitching changes, the Angels have been batting for a while here in the top of the 7th. Other games around the league, they may think the Angels are scoring 8 or 9. They have scored 3. Now the stretch. 2-1 pitch. Downing swings. It's a long fly ball to deep left field. There she goes, and he's broken it wide open. A 3-run homer for Brian Downing. His 12th of the year, and it's now the Angels 8, the Royals 2. Brian Downing just jumped all over a Dan Quisenberry pitch. He hit it nearly halfway up the bank in left field. And now 6 runs home in the inning. And some of the fans immediately get up and start to head for the exit. And Brian Downing got it all. Now here's Bobby Grich, the 9th man to bat in the inning. Ground ball to second, that'll be the inning. Frank White's got it, throws to first. The inning's over, but a big round for California. 6 runs score in the inning. There were 4 hits, an error, and nobody left. Brian Downing took care of that. He cleaned them up. We go to the bottom of the 7th. California 8, the Royals 2. Well, the Royals have to climb a mountain. 8-2 California as we go to the bottom of the 7th. It's amazing how patterns are set early in the year that continue all year long. California, early in the year, proved to be an explosive ball club in late innings. They stayed that way all year. They were that here tonight, certainly, with 6 runs in the 7th. The Royals obviously had problems in the bullpen coming out of spring training, and they really haven't been able to solve it all year long. They've had stretches where they were good. Last night they came out, they were good, but tonight, no stopping the Angels. So now the Royals, it's very simple. Either have a big inning or go on the road hurting. 9 games left in the season, and they could be down by 3. Darrell Porter leads it off. Barr's pitch. Outside, ball 1. This is Barr's 25th start. He has completed only 5 of his 24 previous starts. The boy's been a handful here tonight. Strike called on the outside corner, 1-1. Darrell Porter tonight is singled and walked. Right-hander Jim Barr delivers the 1-1 pitch. This is outside, 2-1. Darrell Porter up there taking. The Royals need base runners, and he wants to make Barr work a little bit. 2-1 pitch on the way. Lined into left field, a base hit, so Porter's aboard. Now Pete McCock will hit. Pete's 0 for 2 tonight. They're moving around in the California bullpen, so Jim Fragosi's going to waste no time. He's going to get somebody working right now. The Royals will simply have to hit their way back into it if they can. Montreal and the Mets are all tangled up. Montreal won the first game of their doubleheader. The Pirates lost, and now a second game at Shea Stadium, 0-0 after 7 innings. Barr to Lecoq. Bouncing ball second, looks like a double play. Shortstop's got one, back to first, 2. 4-6-3. And very quickly, Jim Barr comes back to get the double play, so 2 out, nobody on to Amos Otis, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Cardinals beat the Cubs 2-1. Silvio Martinez the winner, Dennis Lamp the loser. Eddie Murray is homered for Baltimore in the 7th inning with nobody on, his 24th. Baltimore 7, Detroit 6. ready. Here's the pitch to Otis. Bouncing ball to third. Fair ball. Backhanded deep by Lansford. The long throw. Safe. Otis beats it. Boy, now the double play looks so big, huh? Now Collins will hit 0 for 2 tonight. And you can drop into your convenient neighborhood pop shop where 26 fabulous flavors are still just pennies a bottle. It's still not impossible for the Royals to win if they can't pull this one out, but boy, it is tough. If the Angels could just play 5-4 baseball after tonight, if they win tonight, the Royals would have to go 8-1. And the Angels play 6 of the remaining 9 at home. The Royals play 6 of their remaining 9 on the road. Barr's pitch to Collins. Low and outside. The Angels have landed a haymaker with a 6-run 7th inning. The pitch to Collins. Ground ball up the middle. Rich backhand, slips to the shortstop in time for the force out. The inning's over. Nothing doing for the Royals. No runs, 2 hits. They leave a man. And after 7, the Angels 8, the Royals 2.
Lonnie Shelton, that rookie.
7 innings by, the Angels 8, the Royals 2. And the Royals have just 2 more shots at a very big comeback. On top of that, they have to stop California. We'll go to the 8th. 8-2. The Angels in front, and again, here's Denny. All right, Fred, Larry Harlow will start things. 8 runs on 10 hits for the Angels, 2 runs, 8 hits for the Royals. The Royals have made the only error of the night. Larry Harlow's 2 out of 3, singled in the 7th, tripled and scored in the 3rd, flied to deep center in the 5th. So Larry Harlow, left-handed batter up there. The line by Quisenberry in the pitch. Lined into center field, base hit. Larry Harlow, 3 out of 4 tonight. And 11 Angel hits. The batter, Jim Anderson, and he's checking with his third base coach, Bobby Knopf. I'm sure the Angels tonight, feeling that they just can't have enough runs, see if Anderson is up there to bunt. Laid down a bunt his last time. Drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in his first trip. He's bunting. Bunts foul. Back to the screen she comes, and the count is 0-1. The Angels have at least 1 hit in every inning except the first. No balls and a strike on Jim Anderson. Dan Quisenberry set at the belt. The pitch to Anderson. He pulls the bat back and takes low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brett charging from third. Pete Lecoq coming down from first. Bobby Knopf, the third base coach, going through a series of signs. And now Anderson back up to the plate. Quisenberry coming set. Anderson to bunt. Bunts foul up along first, and the count is now 1-2 on Jim. Tomorrow night, the Angels play the Texas Rangers, and Doc Medich will pitch against Frank Tanana. Saturday afternoon, Chris Knapp pitches against Steve Comer. And then the Angels say that Sunday, Dave Frost or Don Opsey against Fergie Jenkins. The Angels play the Texas Rangers 3 while the Royals battle in Oakland. Down low to Anderson, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Woodorf and Langford tomorrow night. Leonard and Keel on Saturday. Gura and Morgan will pitch on Sunday. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Anderson. Larry Harlow at first with nobody out, top of the 8th. He struck him out. So Jim Anderson, after twice failing to bunt, strikes out. And now Rick Miller, the leadoff man. Rick is 1 out of 4, a 5th inning single.
by Dan Quisenberry. Toss over to first, and Harlow diving back into the base head first. Angels took a 1-0 lead in the second, a 2-0 lead in the third. The Royals promptly tied it with 2 in the bottom of the third. And then the Angels hit the Royals with that 6-run 7. Rick Miller takes low and inside. 1 ball and no strikes. If the Angels hang on and win this game tonight, they will have won 5 out of 7 here at Royal Stadium this year. Of course, the Royals are 3-0 in Anaheim. Bouncing ball up the middle. Frank White can't get it. Harlow makes the turn at second. He's on his way to third. Otis throw to Brett. Not in time. So Miller bounces a single to center. Runners at first and third, 1 out. Eddie Rodriguez and Al Raboski throwing in the Royal bullpen, and here is Carney Lansford. Lansford 1 out of 4, but that 1 hit, as Fred said, a big one. A single to drive in a run in the 7th. That broke the 2-2 tie and set the table for Don Baylor and Brian Downing. Baylor a 2-run single and Downing a 3-run homer. So most people will remember Baylor's single. More than that will remember Downing's 3-run homer. Yet Carney Lansford has the hit that put the Angels ahead. Ground ball foul outside third, 0-1. Another big play occurred back in the Royal 5th inning. Frank White tripled with 1 out. And then a squeeze play, an aborted squeeze play, as the Angels sniffing it out, pitched out, and Frank White was dead between home and third. So that was another big play in a big game. No balls and a strike on right-handed hitting Carney Lansford. Way inside, 1-1. The Angels, a dozen hits now. Signal given, Dan Quisenberry into the stretch. With runners at first and third and 1 out, the 1-1 pitch to Carney Lansford. A little blooper into right field. Out goes Frank White to make the catch. And the runners remain at first and third. Now there are 2 down. The batter is Ralph Garr. Ralph in his first game with the Angels, 1 for 4. He singled back in the 4th inning. Left-handed batter, right-handed pitcher. Both men rather unorthodox. Quisenberry, a sidearm to sinker baller, or a sidearm to almost submarine. Throws that sinker ball, and Garr is just a wild free swinger. Runners at first and third, 2 down, 8-2 Angels. Ball game in the top of the 8th. Toss over to first, the runner back. The stretch and the pitch to Garr. Threw him a breaking ball and it stayed outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Garr, a former National Leaguer. In fact, he won the National League batting championship with the Atlanta Braves. Chopping foul behind the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Remember, you're always a welcome sight at the sign of Skelly. A ball and a strike on Ralph Garr. Larry Harlow at third, Rick Miller at first. And with 2 down, here is Quisenberry's 1-1 pitch to Garr. Outside, 2-1. Things are very quiet at Royal Stadium at the moment. That's what that 6-run 7th inning did. 2-1 to Garr. Take to third, take to first. No throw either place. Quisenberry just trying to keep the runners on it. Gar, meanwhile, at the plate awaiting the 2-1 pitch. In it comes. Bouncing ball out toward Frank White at second. He's got it over to first base in time. Side retired. 2 hits, no runs, 2 men left. The Angels have stranded 7. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Angels 8, Royals 2. Royals come to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning, and Steve Braun and Jamie Quirk are going to bat for White in Washington. Steve Braun hitting for Frank White. Frank had a single, a triple, a run scored, and a stolen base. Steve Braun hitting .257, 4 homers, 9 RBIs. Jim Barr's pitch. On the outside corner, strike call. Barr trying to win his 10th. No balls and 1 strike on the left-handed batter. Here's the pitch. Sharp hit ground ball. Fair past third and up the left field line. And Braun, who still can't run very well with that sore heel, is on with a single. And now Terrell will run for Braun. Here comes Jamie Quirk to bat for UL Washington.
Running for Braun, number 1, Gary Terrell. Batting for the shortstop Washington, number 9, Jamie Quirk.
Now here's Jamie Quirk, a left-handed batter. They have played 8 innings at Chase Stadium, New York, in the second game of that doubleheader. Montreal nothing, New York nothing. Montreal won the first game 6-3. If Montreal wins, they're in first place by a half game. If they lose, they're in second place by a half game. The Pirates lost to the Phillies. Jamie Quirk hitting .294 with a half a dozen RBIs. The pitch to James is a fastball outside. 1 ball and no strike. 8-2, California. Royals have 9 hits, the Angels a dozen. The pitch to Quirk. Line drive, base hit right field. Terrell stops to second, and the Royals have 2 on, nobody out. And the top of the batting order coming up. They're busy out in the California bullpen, Montague and LaRoche. Jamie Quirk has really done some job as a pinch hitter, especially in the last couple of months. Every time Whitey's sitting up there, he's responding. Out comes Jim Fregosi. Jim Fregosi moving toward the mound after the back-to-back singles by the pinch hitters. We're going to pause right here for station identification. This is the Kansas City Royals Radio Network.
This is the...
Jim Fregosi has signaled toward the bullpen, and he's going to make a pitching change. Right-hander John Montague, who appeared here 2 nights ago and did a fine job, is going to come in. So the pitching change is being made by the Angels here in the bottom of the 8th inning with the score, the Angels 8, the Royals 2. The Royals trying to mount a charge here. John Montague, the new California pitcher. Montague, since joining the Angels from Seattle, has appeared 11 times for Jim Fregosi. He's won 2, lost none, saved 6, allowed 14 hits in 15 innings. 8 walks, 5 strikeouts. Overall this year, combining Seattle and California, 8 and 4, 7 saves. Willie Wilson, runners at first and second, nobody out, 8-2 Angels. The Royals trying to establish some momentum. 32,659, the paid attendance tonight. Willie Wilson on the left side against Montague. John Stitch, foul ball off third, rocketing into the seats, and the count 0-1. Became only the 5th player in American League history to steal 75 or more bases in a season. He swiped second back in the 3rd inning for his 75th. The 0-1 pitch is bunted foul, and now the count is Montague's way, 0-2. Al McRae will follow, and then George Brett. Dave LaRoche continues to throw in the Angels bullpen. Right-hander Don Ossie has now joined Dave LaRoche. 2 on, nobody out. 8-2 California. Ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning. The 0-2 pitch to Willie. He struck him out. Montague took something off that pitch. So Willie down swinging, and here's Hal McRae. Mack is 1 out of 3. Single to drive in a run in the 3rd. The Angels now looking for a double play. They have turned over 2 double plays tonight, one in the 4th and one in the 7th. Pitch to Hal is a slider low and outside. 1 ball and no strike. 8 runs on 12 hits for the Angels. 2 runs, 10 hits for the Royals. Here's the 1-0 delivery. Bouncing ball through the middle. Base hit. Here comes Terrell around 3rd to score. And Burke will stop at 2nd. And now it's 8-3 California. George Brett. And a long one here. The Royals are back to within 2 runs. George tonight is 1 out of 3. Singled his last time up in the 6th. He's also struck out and bounced into a force play. 8-3 California. Runners at 1st and 2nd, 1 out. Montague straightens up. Here's the pitch. Missed low and outside. 1 ball and no strike. The Angels trying to hang on and get a split in this series. The Royals trying for 3 out of 4. Low, ball 2. It's 2-0. Quirk at 2nd. Hal McRae is at 1st. 1 away. Montague set at the belt. Here he comes. High drive, deep center. Back goes Miller. Away back to the wall. He's gone. California. Jim Fregosi has gone to the mound. Brett's 22nd home run of the year. So Jamie Quirk scored ahead of him. So did Hal McRae. And suddenly the Royals are within 2. And Dave LaRoche trotting in from the California bullpen. So the pitching change being made here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now the score, the Angels 8, the Royals 6.
The Baltimore Colts have dropped place kicker Tony Linhart. This after Linhart was given a $10,000 a year raise last Sunday, even though he missed 3 field goals in the Colts' 13-10 loss to Cleveland. The Colts signed former San Francisco and Detroit kicker Steve McMyer to replace Linhart. The 37-year-old Linhart missed 3 kicks from fairly short range on Sunday, and that included a 28-yarder that would have tied the Browns with 1 second left. After the game, Colts owner Robert Irsay visited the dejected Linhart and gave him the $10,000 raise for making an effort. The Colts owner said that after giving the raise that he thought Linhart would kick better for the Colts. But the native of Austria won't get that chance to prove Irsay right. The Baltimore Orioles are close, but not close enough to wrapping up the American League East title. For the second straight night, the Orioles failed to reduce the Magic clinching number. On Wednesday, Detroit blanked Baltimore 5-0, while second-place Milwaukee crushed Seattle 12-1. The Orioles are 9 games ahead of the Brewers, and the Magic number remains at 3 going into action on Thursday. Kansas City nudged California 6-4 Wednesday and trails the Angels by 2 games in the American West going into play Wednesday. And those teams are winding up their 4-game series with this game right here. The Montreal Expos swept a doubleheader from the New York Mets 3-1 and 4-1, but the Pirates split, and so Pittsburgh's lead over Montreal is now just 1 game.
Back at Royal Stadium, it was so quiet just a few moments ago, and now Bedlam. 8-6 Angels. Dave LaRoche, veteran left-hander, now pitching. Darrell Porter at the plate. Darrell, a perfect night. 2 singles and a walk. LaRoche deals. Darrell is swinging a miss, 0-1. For Dave LaRoche, appearance number 51. He's 7-10 with 10 saves. The ERA is rather inflated for a relief pitcher, 5.62. His hits to innings pitched ratio is not good. 101 hits in 82 innings. 55 strikeouts, 32 walks. And the count on Darrell 0-1. Darrell Porter in this series now is 8 out of 14. So the Angels just simply cannot get him out. 0-1, Dave LaRoche brings it in. Fastball is low and inside. Dave thought that he'd thrown a strike, but Dick Brennigan said no, and the count 1-1. A 3-run home run by George Brett over the wall in center has pulled the Royals to within 2. The pinch hitter, Braun and Jamie Quirk coming through with back-to-back singles. Darrell takes the strike, and it's 1-2. Pete LeCoq will be next, but Pete keeps looking into the Royal dugout to see if Whitey's going to go to a pinch hitter. 1-2 to Darrell. Here's LaRoche pitch. Line to the left center, base hit. Over goes Rick Miller to cut it off. Darrell's going to stay at first, and now the tying run to the plate, and Watson will bat for LeCoq. Will bat for Pete LeCoq. And then Amos Otis coming up back of Watson. Duke hitting .205 with 2 home runs, 26 RBIs. Watson is announced, and out comes Jim Fregosi. He has Don Ossie throwing in the bullpen. And Fregosi is going to play percentage all the way. He's going to bring Don Ossie in to pitch to Watson. So Montague struck out the first man that he faced, Willie Wilson, then allowed the single to McRae and the home run to Brett. Dave LaRoche out in front of Darrell Porter, gave up the single into left center. And now it'll be Don Ossie. So the pitching change being made. The third of the inning. What's the score here at Royal Stadium? The Angels 8, the Royals 6.
So the Kansas City Royals not rolling over on this one. They're hanging right in there after California jumped off to a big lead. Let's take a look and see what's happening in that National League race in the West. Cincinnati and San Diego are now in the top of the 5th inning at San Diego, and the Padres are leading that game by the score of 2-1. Cincinnati leading Houston by 2.5 games in the National League West going into action on Thursday. However, Houston has scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning at the Astrodome, and so with Atlanta hitting in the top of the 9th inning, it's Houston 7, Atlanta 1. So that's it as far as that race in the National League West is concerned. In the American League, Baltimore and Detroit in a high-scoring game at Tiger Stadium. It's the top of the 9th inning now. Baltimore leading Detroit by the score of 8-6. In the National League East, Montreal has scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and so the New York Mets are hitting in the top of the bottom of the 9th. Montreal 2 in the top of the 9th. New York hitting in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 2-0. Montreal won the first game of that doubleheader 6-3 to move ahead of Pittsburgh by 1 percentage point after Philadelphia beat the Pirates earlier in the day by the score of 2-1. So a sweep by Montreal would put the Expos a half a game in front of Pittsburgh in that National League East race.
Back at Royal Stadium, Don Ossie is now pitching for California. Nettles is going to bat for Watson, who was announced as the hitter for Lecoq. Don Ossie appears for the 35th time. He's 9-10 with 1 save. Earned run average 4.84. So Nettles, the left-handed batter, facing the right-hander Don Ossie. AASE Don Ossie, who came to the Angels from the Boston Red Sox. 8-6 Angels. When this inning started, they led 8-2. The pitch to Nettles. It's low. 1 ball and no strikes. Porter at first, 1 away. Here's a stretch by Don Ossie in the pitch. Didn't mean to do it. A check swing foul ball off to the left. And it's 1-1 on Jim Nettles. Amos Otis to follow. That's the tying run at the plate. The big inning for the Angels, the 7th. They scored a half a dozen. The Royals have 4 so far here in the bottom of the 8th. Fastball outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Nettles played at Omaha this year. Ball 3-1. The count is all Jim Nettles laid out. 3 balls and 1 strike. Ossie checking with Downing. In comes the pitch. Popped up, short left field. Out goes the third baseman Lansford to make the catch, and just in foul territory. So Darrell hustles back to first, and up comes Amos Otis. Otis, 1 for 3 tonight, an infield single in the 7th. In comes Bobby Grich to talk to Don Ossie. Amos Otis could very well be one of the keys to the ball game for this reason. If Ossie is successful and can get Amos Otis, the Royals then in the 9th would have the lower part of their batting order. It was the lower part of the batting order that started this, the pinch hitters, Steve Braun and Jamie Quirk. That Whitey has dipped deeply into the bench, and few remain. Runner at first, Rod Carew not holding to Darrell. The pitch to Amos Otis. Breaking ball, base hit center field. Darrell Porter to second base and holding. And the winning run, the potential winning run, comes to the plate. The tying runs are now on the base path. Man who hasn't batted in this inning comes to the plate, Al Collins. Al Collins coming up. Al is 0 for 3. Runners at first and second, 2 down. We are in the bottom of the 8th. The lead run at the plate. Don Ossie deals. Ground ball to the second baseman, Grich. He's got it over to first in time. Ossie made a pretty good pitch. He had Collins tied up with a pitch up and in. But the Royals come up with 4. They're back in it. 4 runs on 6 hits. The 2 men left. And after 8 exciting innings, it's the Angels 8 and the Royals 6.
The National Basketball Association has appealed Wednesday's ruling by a federal court judge that struck down a compensation award made last year by Commissioner Lawrence O'Brien. A district court judge called excessive the compensation the New York Knicks were ordered to give the Seattle Supersonics for the Knicks signing of center Marvin Webster. And O'Brien says even in the event an alternate compensation award must be determined, he will not give the contracts of Seattle forward Lonnie Shelton and guard Vinnie Johnson to the Knicks. New York has been ordered to give Shelton $450,000 and a draft pick that turned out to be Johnson as compensation to Seattle for that Webster signing. Meanwhile, the head of the NBA Players Association says he anticipates a legal fight over another compensation case, this one being between the San Diego Clippers and the Portland Trail Blazers. Earlier this week, the Clippers were ordered to give 2 players a future draft pick and either guard Randy Smith or cash for another draft choice to Portland. This would be the compensation for San Diego's signing of former Blazers center Bill Walton. Players Association Chief Larry Fleischer says the ruling in the Webster case makes it clear to him that the compensation in the Walton case is also excessive. A Boston report on the Globe says the controversial executive director of the National Hockey League Players Association has agreed to step down from his job in 1982. The report says Alan Eagleson has decided to refuse a request from the association to concentrate solely on the association matters.
Inning, 8-6 in favor of California. 8 runs, 12 hits, and no errors for the Angels. The Royals have 6 runs on 14 hits. The Royals have 2 more hits than the Angels, and the Royals have made the only error of the ballgame. That amazing Montreal team has come up with 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning. The Mets are now batting in the bottom of the 9th, trailing the Expos 2-0. Montreal won the first game 6-3. The Phillies beat the Pirates, and if Montreal wins, they're back in first in that National League East by a half game. Don Baylor up there, Dan Quisenberry's pitch. It's a strike, 0-1. Don Baylor, a big man for the Angels tonight. A single, a home run, 3 RBIs. He's 2 for 4. So now the Angels will try to pad their lead. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Jim Nettles is now at first base for the Royals. Jamie Quirk is at shortstop. Jerry Terrell is at second base. Bouncing ball, Brett at third. It's a fair ball. Sets himself. The throw to first is in time. Don Baylor retired, 1 away. That brings up Rod Carew. Rod a double in 3 official trips. He was walked intentionally and scored in the 7th. Setting himself at the plate. Brian Downing will follow. Bouncing ball through the middle. Quirk to his left. Can't get it. A base hit for Carew. And here's Downing, who hit the 3-run home run in the 7th inning that is now the difference in this ballgame. 13 Angel hits. Goes to work out in the Royal bullpen. Downing, in addition to his 3-run home run, is walked, fouled out, and flied to left. Rod Carew with 17 stolen bases has a pretty good lead at first. The pitch to Downing is outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Scheduled hitters in the Royal 9th will be Terrell, Quirk, and Wilson. And then back of that threesome, McCray and Brett. Toss over to first. Back in time is Rod Carew. We're in the 9th, 8-6 California. Here's the stretch and the pitch. Missed the inside corner. 2 balls and no strikes. to split this 4-game series. The Royals badly needing 3 out of 4. And it's coming down to the final inning. Rod Carew back safely as Dan Quisenberry fires over to Nettles. 2 balls and no strikes on Brian Downing. Right-handed batter waiting, Quisenberry. Checking on the runner, now the pitch. A high chopper, Brett charging. Scoops it up on the short hop and throws. He got him. Oh, what a play. Sensational play by George Brett. Charging toward home plate as hard as he could. He had to pick up a short hop on the dead run and then throw across his body accurately and with something on it. He did all of the above to get Downey. On the play, Carew to second, and here is Gritch. Bob is 1 for 4, a 5th inning single. So 2 out in the top of the 9th, 8-6 Angels. Quisenberry deals, and Gritch, after an off-speed pitch, missed, 0-1. Angels, you can rest assured, would dearly love to have that additional run. Rod Carew at second, 2 down, no balls and 1 strike on Bobby Gritch. The stretch and the pitch. Rolling outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Winning in San Diego against Cincinnati, and Houston has won its game. The 1-1 pitch to Gritch is hit toward the right field corner. Al Collins toward the corner, and Al up against the wall. Can't make the play. He trapped it against the wall. A run scores, and now they're saying home run. Finally, they get the signal, and the Royals are going to argue. Collins went up against the wall. It appeared that the ball caromed off the very top of the wall, but apparently it went into the seats and then came out right in the corner, and Whitey Herzog is going to go out and argue. They're going to rule it a home run. Dan Quisenberry is talking to the plate umpire. Whitey Herzog wants to ask Al Collins about it, and we have a monitor here. We can check it out if the angle is good, but it's not going to be the best angle. Collins coming right into the corner. And then right at the 330-foot sign, up he goes. And it appeared that the ball hit off that grating at the top of the wall. Now, that's inconclusive because the instant replay can sometimes deceive you a little bit. And as I said, the angle isn't all that good. But what has happened, the umpire has ruled a home run. I saw Collins go up, and then the ball came off what appeared to be the top of the wall or that steel grating. But the umpire said home run, and that's what it will be for Bobby Gritch, his 28th. And that makes it 10-6 in favor of California. Gritch, as he rounded first base, was signaling home run. Whitey is really after the first base umpire, Jim Evans. So Bobby Gritch has hit a 2-run home run. The pitch was out away from him. He went with the pitch and hit that slicing drive down the right field line. And the ball just kept carrying and carrying. Collins going to the corner, and Al thought that he had to play all the way. Got right to the corner, believed high in the air. You could see the ball come down. So Gritch has homered. The batter will be Larry Harlow, who's 3 out of 4, a couple of singles. He tripled back in the third and scored a run. Disputed home run right down into the right field corner for Bobby Gritch. And the Angels have a 4-run lead. And here's Larry Harlow. Houston beating Atlanta 7-1, forced the win, Boggs the loss. 22,000 in Houston. And Montreal did win, 2-0. They won a doubleheader while the Pirates lost. Some race in the National League East. A strike to Harlow, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Off speed and swung and missed, 0-2. Fred, you had a chance to go over and check one of the other monitors.
Vinny, it's still inconclusive. I didn't get to see the play, but I asked. They said they froze it. They said the ball hit the top of the fence. Well, if it hits the top of the fence and comes back, it's not a home run. If a fan hits it, it's in the seats and comes back as a home run.
The 0-2 pitch is low and inside. The only question in my mind is the fact that the ball did not come off the wall as quickly as you would think it would. That's the only question that I have.
Looks like maybe a fan got a hand on it.
Yeah. But now did he reach over the railing? You couldn't see that either. A little bit inside, Quisenberry thought that was strike 3. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Larry Harlow.
Danny, in fairness to the umpire, there was a point in the replay where it did look like the ball had gotten over the rail. It was so close, it was really difficult to tell from the camera angle.
The 2-2 pitch bounced foul over toward the Royal dugout.
I'll tell you what, it's one of those where you can look at the replay, and depending on which way you want it to go, you could make a case for yourself, really.
And you talk about the angle of the camera. As good a perch as we have at Royal Stadium, the extreme corners right at the foul pole, very, very difficult for us to see. That's the toughest point in the ballpark. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Base hit right field for Larry Harlow. So the Angels have 15 hits. Jim Anderson, the shortstop, coming up.
The shortstop, Jim Anderson.
Harlow's had quite a night. 3 singles and a triple. Jimmy Anderson up there. He is 0 for 2 in the ball game. 10-6 California, top of the 9th. Line shot left field. Willie Wilson will have to play it on one hop. Now he falls down and the ball rolls away from him. They're going to try to score Harlow. Willie up with the ball, and he didn't see the man coming to the plate, and Harlow's going to score. Well, that's a shame. Willie had a shot at him because when Wilson picked up the ball, Harlow was just rounding third, and Willie was rather shallow and left. But when he came up, he looked at second base. And Bobby Knopp, the coach at third, waving Harlow in all the way. Willie trying for the shoestring catch, and he blocked the ball with his chest, but then fell down, and the ball rolled in front of him back toward the infield. Out comes Whitey Herzog, and that's going to be all for Dan Quisenberry. So it is now 11-6. The Royals are making the pitching change here in the top of the 9th. With the score, the Angels 11, the Royals 6.
National League Supervisor of Umpires Blake Cullen has denied charges of discrimination against members of the Major League Umpires Association. The charges were filed with the National Labor Relations Board by the Umpires Association. The association charges that its umpires were discriminated against in the areas of guaranteed salaries, advancement for minor league umpires who honor the strike, vacation time, evaluation, and expense money. Attorney Phillips says the umpires who crossed the picket lines and were retained by the National League were rewarded with 3-year contracts, while regular umps have never gotten better than a 1-year deal. Phillips also charges that 3 non-union umps in the National League were given an extra week of vacation time and flown home at league expense. The Umpires Association attorney says the American League has been guilty of some of the same discriminatory practices, but Phillips adds that the pattern of conduct has not continued throughout the season. Hot Hitter won the $226,000 Little Brown Jug Pace in Delaware, Ohio. The 3-year-old edged Tijuana Taxi in a race-off on Thursday afternoon. Hervé Fillon guided Hot Hitter over the mile in 1 minute 55 and 3/5 seconds. That's the 10th straight win for the 3-year-old pacer, whose 1979 earnings of nearly $717,000 give him the best single-season total in harness racing history. Hot Hitter won the second heat of the Jug, while Tijuana Taxi took the first.
Now pitching for the Royals. Al taking his warm-up tosses. Let's pause right here for station identification. This is the Kansas City Royals Radio Network.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Denny Matthews along with Fred White and producer-engineer Ed Shepard at Royal Stadium. 11-6 California. The Angels a 6-run seventh, and now 3 here in the top of the ninth. After the Royals fought back to within 2 runs, with 4 runs of their own in the bottom of the 8th. Runner at second base, Rick Miller, the hitter, and he takes the ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Rick has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 out of 5. The particulars on the Montreal double win over the Mets. Second game 2-0. Scott Sanderson, the winner, 9-7. Montreal got their 2 runs in the 9th. Up too high, 2 balls and no strikes. Carney Lansford will be next. 11 runs on 16 hits for the Angels, 6 runs on 14 hits for the Royals. Left-hander against left-hander, Rabosky to Miller. Fouled back to the screen. Rick had a pretty good cut to count 2-1. Rabosky has posted wins in 3 of his last 7 outings. He has 12 strikeouts in his last 14 and 2/3 innings. Al has pitched well this month. Here's the 2-1 delivery. Just missed inside with a fastball, 3-1. And a right-handed batter, Carney Lansford, will be next. I'll bet Jim Fregosi at this very moment is hopeful of about 3 or 4 more runs. The 3-1 pitch. He walked him. So now Carney Lansford comes up. He's 1 for 5, a 7th inning single. Fred, it just occurred to me, not that it's taken 8.5 innings to come to light, but it's so true. Lansford takes high. This game illustrates perfectly the strengths and weaknesses of these 2 teams.
Well, it does. It's the season in microscopic form, really, for both of them, Denny.
Angel power, Royal speed, bullpen inconsistencies. 2 on, 2 out. The 1-0 pitch to Lansford is a ball, 2-0. So Hungo having trouble finding home plate.
Denny, I'll bet you right now, if Al Rabosky was to stop this thing right here, the Angels have a 5-run lead to the bottom 9th. I'll bet you if you could talk to an Angel personnel, that they would all say, we're afraid it may not be over yet.
Absolutely, after what's happened to them the last couple of months. Well, let's say since the All-Star break. How many nightmares has Jim Fregosi gone through? Recurring dreams about 7th, 8th, and 9th innings since the All-Star break. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Lansford. Fouled back to the screen. He had a good cut at a fastball, 2-1. 11-6 California in the 9th. Rabosky ready? Here's the 2-1 pitch. Foul ball back to the screen. 2-2 now. Ralph Garr standing in the on-deck circle. Lansford is the 8th Angel to come to the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 on and 2 out. Rabosky nodding yes to Porter. And now the 2-2 pitch to Carney Lansford. High ball 3, and now the Angels have the additional offensive advantage of having the runners on the move. Anderson out at second, Rick Miller, the runner at first. They both move pretty well, so does the hitter Lansford. The 3-2 pitch. Very high, ball 4. Has walked 2 men. And here's Garr Barr, the ninth man to come to the plate. Ralph is 1 out of 5, singled in the fourth. Eddie Rodriguez throwing in the bullpen. Bases loaded, 2 out, 11-6 California. The stretch and the pitch. Inside and high, 1 ball, no strikes. Out comes Galen Cisco. Now Darrell Porter is going to join Galen Cisco on the mound. The Angels had apparently broken this game open with 6 in the 7th, but the Royals came storming back with 4 in the 8th. And now the Angels have scored 3 and have 3 on here in the top of the 9th. One and 0, the count on Gar. Up and in, 2 and 0. Balls and no strikes on Ralph Gar. Yesterday he was a member of the White Sox. Today the Angels. The 2-0 pitch. There's a strike, 2 and 1. Don Baylor kneeling in the on-deck circle. Two and 1. Al leaning in to read Darrell Porter. Now the stretch. And in comes the 2-1. Foul ball out of play on the third base side. That makes the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Anderson at third, Miller at second, Lansford at first with 2 down. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ralph Gar. Taking too much time, Gar stepped up. Here we go, 2 and 2. Here's the pitch. Fly ball, left center field. Willie Wilson calling for it. And that ends the inning. But the Angels scored 3 times. There were 4 hits, 2 walks, and 3 men left. They've stranded 10. We go to the bottom of the 9th. The Angels 11, the Royals 6.
Scott Sanderson kept the Montreal Expos Pennant Express roaring at full speed Thursday night by pitching a 7-hitter in the second game to spark a 2-0 victory that completed a doubleheader sweep of the New York Mets. The Expos, who moved a half a game ahead of Pittsburgh into first place in the National League East, won the opener 6-3 when Jerry White, a late-inning replacement for Ellis Valentine, blasted a solo home run to trigger a 4-run 8th inning. Sanderson matched 8 scoreless innings with Mets rookie Mike Scott before the Expos broke through with a pair of runs in the 9th inning. Scott, who had faced a minimum of 11 batters through 3 2/3 innings, got into trouble in the 9th.
Well, here we go. Bottom of the 9th inning, 11-6 Angels. Clint Hurdle comes out to bat for Terrell. Don Ossie's pitch is a strike, 0-1. Clint hitting .225 with 3 homers and 27 RBIs. Left-handed batter, the line by Don Ossie in the pitch. Curveball lined into center field. Miller coming in. He's there to make the catch, and there's 1 away.
The shortstop, Jamie Quirk.
That brings up Jamie Quirk. Jim, as a pinch hitter back in the 8th inning, single. Jamie's single got his average over the 300 mark. He's now a .304 hitter. Is empty, 1 out, bottom of the 9th inning, 11-6 California. Quirk takes outside. How confident are the Angels? Well, they have activity in the bullpen. One ball and no strikes. Throwing is Mark Clear. Line drive to the shortstop. Well, Jamie hit the ball hard. And a line shot right at the shortstop. Here's Willie. Willie 1 out of 4 in the ball game. The Royals down to their final out. 11-6 Angels. Bouncing ball to the shortstop Anderson. Big hop. On to first. The ball game is over. So the Angels get what they came into town to get. That was a split in the series. And the final score in a wild and woolly ball game here tonight, the Angels 11, the Royals 6. And we'll be back right after this.
The California Angels, with that victory, now have put some space between themselves and Kansas City. It's now a 3-game California lead. In the American League West, California has now won 83 and lost 70, while Kansas City drops to 80 and 73 and is 3 games out of first place. Milwaukee is not scheduled, so Minnesota is not, as we check the schedule here for Thursday, Minnesota losing its ball game to New York. And so let's reevaluate things here as far as things are concerned in the American League's West Division. It was Minnesota beating the New York Yankees by a score of 3-1. So Minnesota will remain 4 games behind California in the American League's West Division. Milwaukee in the East was not scheduled, and Baltimore playing its baseball game right now with Detroit. And at last word, that ball game was in the top of the 9th, with Baltimore leading by the score of 8-7. We'll take a quick check of the tape and see if anything more has come in on that ball game. It has. We do have the final score. Baltimore winning it by the score of 8-7. So that's the final score at Detroit. Baltimore 8, Detroit 7. So that means that Baltimore has now won its 99th game of the season. Now leads Milwaukee by 9.5. But more importantly, the Orioles have reduced their magic number for clinching the American League East to 2 games.
11-6, the final score here tonight. A ball game that was wild and woolly. The Angels took a 1-0 lead in the second, a 2-0 lead in the third. The Royals got 2 in the third to tie it. And then nothing but zeros until the Angels came up with a half a dozen in the top of the 7th. And it appears that they had salted this game away. But the Royals came roaring back. They scored 4 in the 8th inning. Off the bench came Steve Braun and Jamie Quirk to single. Hal McRae singled in a run, and then George Brett unloaded a home run over the wall in dead center field. And you had the feeling at that point that the Royals had everything going their way, all the momentum. The crowd was in a frenzy, but the Angels came back and scored 3 in the top of the 9th. Don Ossie, in relief of Dave LaRoche, who after Brett singled, yielded the single to Darrell Porter, and then Ossie got Nettles on a pop foul to the third baseman. Otis singled, but Collins grounded out, and that was probably one of the big pitches of the night as Ossie threw a fastball up and in. Al was trying to tomahawk it into right field to hit a ground ball to second base. And then we had the disputed Bobby Grich home run down the right field line in the 9th inning. The aborted squeeze play that the Royals tried in the 5th, which was the big play in the game, and clutch hits by the California Angels. Don Baylor with that single to center, driving in 2 runs, the 3-run homer by Downing, and the single by Carney Lansford that we talked about earlier. That single put the Angels out in front 3-2. So if you look back on this game, Fred, there are a zillion turning points. You can talk about this game from now until morning, but one thing won't change, and that's the final score.